Welcome, 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 everyone. So glad to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Lynette, if you can help make all of the speakers co-hosts. I made Speaker Adams and Senator Stewart Cousins. I do not see Assembly member and the Congresswoman yet.
Okay.
So if you see them, let's make sure that they are made co-hosts. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is historic. This evening with all of these powerhouses. My name is Dr. Jackie Cody, and I'm excited about, again, this historic moment. Powerful Black women leading us on every level, city, state, and federal. I'm going to give a brief introduction of each speaker and the co-moderators, and then I'll introduce New York State Attorney General to start us off with her statement. First, we have Congresswoman Yvette Clark. Hailing from Central Brooklyn, Congresswoman Yvette Diane Clark feels honored to represent the community that raised her. Congresswoman Clark's passion for her Caribbean heritage is exhibited as co-chair of the Congressional Caribbean Caucus and works to foster relationships between the United States and the Caribbean community. She is a senior member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee and has been a member of the Congressional Black Caucus since coming to Congress in 2007. And today serves as its chair. I'm proud to say that my Congresswoman made sure reparations was a significant part of this year's CBC annual legislative caucus. As the representative of the 9th Congressional District of New York, Congresswoman Clark continues to lead in significant ways and introduce landmark legislation. There's much more about each of these dynamic women. For the Congresswoman, you can find more on house.gov. Now, nowhere else in the country do we have both the state majority leaders for the Senate and Assembly represented by Black women. Okay? We need help making sure everybody's let in, please. Andrea Stewart Cousins holds the positions of President pro tempore and Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, and she is the Senator for the 35th District. As the longest serving Democratic Majority Leader in New York State Senate history and the first woman and an African-American woman to occupy this role. Her tenure is distinguished by significant legislation, achievements, and a steadfast commitment to addressing the needs of New Yorkers. In response to national talent challenges to reproductive rights, Senator Stewart Cousins has been instrumental in protecting and advancing women's health rights in New York and securing funding for the state's education system so every student can have access to high-quality educational programs and opportunities. nysenate.gov is where you can find more information about Senator Stewart Cousins. Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. In December 2018, Assemblywoman Crystal D. Peoples-Stokes was elevated to the position of Majority Leader of the New York State Assembly. Peoples-Stokes has served Buffalo's 141st Assembly District since 2003. Assemblywoman Peoples-Stokes was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and has worked briefly as a school teacher before the Buffalo Urban League and Citizen Action of New York. Assemblywoman Peoples-Stokes went on to serve the Erie County legislature from 1993 to 2002, being appointed as Majority Leader in 1998. Assemblywoman Peoples-Stokes has a reputation for being a strong advocate who puts people and principle before politics. She is a fearless fighter for diversity in our state and enormous work to enhance minority and women-owned business enterprise. You can find more on nyassembly.gov. Adrienne Adams is the Speaker of the New York City Council. Elected in January 2022 by her colleagues, she leads the most diverse and the first woman majority council in New York City history as the first ever African-American speaker. Elected to the City Council in November 2017, she is also the first woman to represent District 28, which encompasses communities in the borough of Queens. Under the leadership of Speaker Adams, the council has made numerous achievements, from tackling long-standing inequities to passing a law making October Youth Empowerment Month. You can find more on council.nyc.gov. That brings us to our co-moderators, Terry Wisdom. She is the CEO, founder, and news director of Harlem Network News. She launched the media platform in 2020. She is also a film and television producer, entrepreneur, music manager, community activist, and educator. In 2023, she hosted Harlem Network News annual award ceremony. She has conducted interviews with figures like New York City Mayor Eric Adams. HNN, as we call it, is dedicated to ensuring that Harlem and all Harlems of the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. Senator Cordell Clear was raised in Harlem and her family has lived there for generations. She is best known for her fight for reparations, truly affordable housing, quality schools and equitable education, access to healthy foods, as well as economic, environmental, restorative, and racial justice. Our call to action at the end will be given by our sister Dawn Jones, who is on the board of directors for the National Action Network and chair of the National Action Network's Political Action Committee, and also representing NAN's Women's Auxiliary Committee. Now we bring to you New York State Attorney General Tish James. In her first term, Attorney General James focused on protecting vulnerable New York residents and ensuring that individuals or companies that broke state laws were held accountable. She secured more than $7.5 billion for New York from those who broke laws and took advantage of New Yorkers, including more than $2.5 billion from opioid manufacturers and distributors for their roles in the opioid epidemic. Under her leadership, the Office of New York State Attorney General helped remove more than 4,000 guns from New York communities, took down dozens of dangerous drug and gun trafficking rings throughout the state, and took legal action to stop the proliferation of ghost guns. There is so much more. Attorney General took on predatory landlords, protected New Yorkers' health and state natural resources, stood up for vulnerable populations to stop a question about citizenship from being added to the census, and successfully protecting DACA. AG James has been a national leader in the fight to defend access to reproductive health. She continues to stand up against corruption, regardless of one's status or political affiliation. And we all know, or should know, what our Attorney General is doing to protect New Yorkers and, by de facto, all Americans from unconstitutional abuse of the current White House administration. I so gladly bring to you the baddest AG on this side of heaven, our New York State Attorney General, Tish James. The floor is yours.
All right.
Is she unmuted?
We need her to unmute. Yeah.
Where oh,
maybe
there she
you can
is.
assist her in unmuting.
Yes. She is co-host, so she can unmute.
There we go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Cody. Thank you, Miss Wyndham. Thank you, Miss Jones. And of course, to all my sisters in the struggle, Congresswoman Clark, our leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, Majority Leader, Crystal People Stokes, of course, our Speaker, Adrienne Adams, and our great Senator, Cordell Clear. My name is Letitia James, and I'm honored and privileged to serve as the Attorney General of the great state of New York, hailing from Brooklyn, the People's Republic of Brooklyn. I want to thank all my sisters in the struggle for joining this roundtable on Black women's leadership. And I know that all of you obviously are concerned about the fact that our government is shut down. And everyone needs to understand that this shutdown is as a result of individuals who refuse to negotiate on health care and refuse to negotiate on the needs of Americans as a whole. And so it's really critically important that we stand together. It's also important that we stand together at this time, recognizing that thousands of Black women have lost their federal jobs. And we all know that Black women hold it down, and we represent the Black middle class. And so obviously all of us should be concerned. But we know that the Republican Party is holding us hostage, and we need to stand up and support individuals like Congresswoman Yvette Clark and Hakeem Jeffries and countless number of others who represent the soul of our nation. I'm so pleased to share this moment with all of you as we affirm, as we uplift, and as we stand fearlessly together, standing on our faith and recognizing that faith and fear cannot share the same space, supporting one another every step of the way in common purpose, the pursuit of a more just and equal America for all of us, not some of us, but all of us. We strive for this every day, knowing that each step forward brings us closer to our shared goal, and that is prosperity for everyone. We are not looking for handouts, we're looking for equal opportunities. I know I stand on the shoulders of so many women who are on this call and so many of our ancestors who have sacrificed so that I might be here in this position today. And this legacy instills in me and in all of us a profound responsibility to help the next generation reach even higher still. With this responsibility in mind, I work tirelessly along with all of the individuals who work in my office to ensure that our democracy, our values, and our rule of law are upheld. We did not elect a king. Again, we support democracy, representative democracy. And in order to uphold representative democracy, we've got to defend it and fight for it. My office has been involved in litigation every step of the way, and particularly during these last 8 months. Whenever they harm New York, they come after all of us. And that is why we have been involved in filing lawsuits against this administration over 40 times over his illegal, unconstitutional, unlawful executive orders, which do not have the force of law, over his illegal behavior, whether it's withholding millions of dollars for the MTA because they suffer from this anti-immigrant animus, because they believe that we are a sanctuary state, or whether they were illegally fired thousands of workers or cut millions of dollars in research funding, or they're willing to withhold or they're seeking Medicaid data on individuals who receive Medicaid, or data from individuals who receive food stamps, or they're seeking data, voting data, because again, we are a state that believes and recognizes that all of us should be treated equally, and we recognize the strength of the state of New York, and that this is a country built on the backs of Black people, but also on the backs of immigrants. My office will ensure that no New Yorker is harmed or demeaned because of their race, ethnicity, their gender, their sexual orientation, religion, or socioeconomic status. DEI is not a dirty word. DEI is our strength. DEI is our courage. And DEI only means that all that we want is to have a seat at the table. Equal opportunity, not equal results. Our collective future depends on pushing back against forces that would divide us rather than unite us. So I thank all of you for carrying out the hard work of our ancestors despite the setbacks and challenges. I know these days are difficult and it looks very daunting, but at the end of the day, we've got to recognize that we have been here before and we've survived, and that this too shall pass. We must organize in our communities. We must actively mentor future leaders. We must mobilize for the policy changes we need and boldly defend each and every day that which is right and stand up for justice. Because when we stand together with purpose and take bold steps, we not only secure victory and move forward, but we win as Black women. And we need to remind everyone that they should follow Black women. 94% of Black women voted for what was right. And if only they would have listened to us, we would not be in this position today with all of this chaos and confusion. It's really critically important that we continue to lead and that we continue to elect more Black women and lift up not only New York, but this entire nation and do that which is right, sharing in the prosperity and recognizing that we are all God's children. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you and look forward to the rest of the roundtable. My name is Letitia James, and I represent New York.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So are we ready to go, Dr. Jackie?
Yes, we are ready to go.
Right.
I just want to double check. I do see Senator Stewart Cousins, and I see our speaker, Adrienne Adams. I want to check to see if our Assemblywoman Majority Leader, People Stokes, if she's on the line, and if our Congresswoman is on the line.
Yeah, Congresswoman. Okay.
I want to check. So raise your hand, the Congresswoman and the Assemblywoman. If you're on the line, raise your hands and I can make you co-host. The floor is yours. Terry, take it away.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. This is truly a historic day. I'm Terry Wisdom. I'm the CEO and the founder of Harlem Network News. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. And we really started because we wanted to make sure that Black people, our community people, were informed, engaged, and called to action, and also so that we could tell our own stories. And we are still here. It's an amazing day. We've worked very closely with NAN. We've worked closely with Win with Black Women. And Dr. Jackie Cody. And all of us have met across the airwaves. One of my great sisters and journalists at a Win with Black Women, our Catherine Fleming Bruce is here, and she's taking on that role of going for Senator of South Carolina. She's taking on Lindsey Graham. So we got this, definitely. Let's roll. So thank you so, so much. My co-host, who is my senator, my state senator, Cordell Clear, she's got a couple of things going on. So she's going to try to join us late, but I overstand here in Harlem. Yesterday, we were giving out some awards to students for creating batteries for the e-bikes. And she had 5 situations yesterday. So we're going to flow. We're going to pivot. We're going to do what we have to do because that's how we're built and that's what we do. So I'm going to just get started. We had an order, and I will reach out once again and see if our Congresswoman Yvette Clark is here. Okay, and if she's not, we're just going to keep moving and we're going to flow because that's really important. Okay, so I'm going to shift the order, and I'm going to start, first of all, just saying that our theme is Powerhouse Women who are elected, and we definitely have some powerhouse in here. All of us are powerhouse. However, our elected officials, that's who we're talking about. And obviously, New York, New York City, New York State, we have a monopoly. Look at what we wrought. So I'm going to start with that theme. Who are these powerhouse women and how are they accountable to the community? So that's where we are. And I'm going to start with powerhouse woman leader, our state senator, Andrea Stewart Cousins, the majority leader of the New York State Senate. That's a powerful thing. And I believe she's representing the southern part of Westchester County. So if you would unmute yourself and just let us know who you are, whose you are, and I'm going to ask you a few pertinent questions. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you, Terry and Jackie. It's so good to see all of you powerhouse women. I came on while my sister Tish was speaking. I was with her yesterday, along with the governor and members of the legislature and others, as we were decrying the situation that we're in with the government shutdown, and just really calling on our congressional representatives to do what they need to do. I'm happy to see Adrienne, my sister friend, also the speaker, and I missed Yvette at CBC, but I was hoping to see her tonight. Maybe I will, and certainly my sister up in Albany, Crystal Stokes. We get to work together all the time. Let me just say that whose I am, I understand whose I am. I belong to God Almighty, and I'm sure, like every other sister that you're going to talk to, and probably everybody here, each of us are in awe of where we wound up by the grace of God. And I don't think any of us take for granted the position or the responsibility. I am the first woman leader of a conference in the history of New York State. I lead the Senate. My title is President Pro Tem as well as Senate Majority Leader. And again, it is a privilege that I would never have dreamt of, having been born in the projects in New York City, Amsterdam houses.
Right.
My mom was born in Harlem, and I was a teenage single mother. So, I've come a mighty long way. And much of the journey was watching the dichotomy of government, a government that allowed for my dad to serve in a segregated army, World War II, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, and come back and not get the GI Bill. Watching his white counterparts being offered homes and in the suburbs and down payments, and for Black GIs, it was public housing. Offering public schools, however, but when my mother, who was able to type 100 words a minute, could not get a job in corporate America, she got elevated through civil service. And I entered politics when I came into the city of Yonkers, which was a segregated city in the 1990s, and government made them desegregate, and that's how I got pulled into government. So during the process of growing and learning, stabilizing myself and my life, I realized that the same government that segregated and disenfranchised was the same government who would figure out public schools and public housing and civil service. And really what mattered is who was sitting in those seats. And so when I was pulled into government and had an opportunity to expand what I could do, I've always focused on creating opportunity, removing barriers, lifting people up as I climb, and making sure that I serve in a way that leaves a path open and available for the next one and the next one and the next one, because we're not just making history to make history, we're making pathways and roadways. So that's what I have brought with me. And again, it's a privilege during these times, when we have to make government make sense, especially when it's not on a federal level. I work with again, my colleagues to try and fill the gaps where we can, but also chart a course that will create future opportunities for all of us. So thank you.
I love it. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. For those of you who are just joining, I'm Terry Wisdom, and I am the CEO of Harlem Network News. And we are here today, and our theme is Powerhouse Black Women Leaders.
Terry, I'm sorry, the Congresswoman has joined us.
Yes, I saw her. I got it. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue with you and how you shared, leader. Tell us, what is it? What is your lane? What is your wheelhouse? If someone needs help, when would they come to you? Because one of the things that's missing right now is civics. So a lot of people, they understand what your title is, but they don't understand what you do and how you can reach out and help and what they should come to you for. And then I'm going to ask you your questions, and then I'm going to go to
the next.
So let's move right ahead.
Okay. So, I'm the leader of the Senate. So my wheelhouse is everything. I don't sit on any committees, but I sit on every committee. And when I talk about every committee, I'm talking about housing, environment, criminal justice, education, you name it, social services, all of it. It is my job to keep the trains moving, as well as to help advance policies that will make New Yorkers better. So that's my wheelhouse. But reality is that I have the privilege of doing that because my colleagues voted for me to do that. However, my constituents vote for me to go there. So I never forget who I am serving. And those are the people that send me there so I can do what I do. So because I've had an opportunity to serve in several levels of government, I started in the city of Yonkers with the mayor's office. Then I was elected to the county legislature, and now I'm in the Senate. I have always been a grassroots person. I am always in my communities. I'm always showing up everywhere. That's what I do. And most people do not know what I do or how I do it, but they'll come because they see me, and so they'll ask. So what I tell everyone is that even if I'm not that person, I will direct you to that person. And that's why our relationships are so important. I know I can pick up, and talk to the AG's office or to the Congresswoman's office. That's what it is. And all of the people who work for me, they understand the same thing. People don't know where to go. And we need to be able to when they find us, if they're smart enough to find me, then I need to make opportunities for them to get to the right place. And that's what we do.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to get to the questions, and our hard questions. What pieces of legislation passed in the state Senate this past session that are impactful to Black and Brown communities? The short.
Well, I mean, again, we have done housing. I know I'm working with Senator Clear on a housing project that is, happening right there. But those are the kinds of things that we've been able to pass, whereas we've created opportunities for the state to give state property to developers in order to develop housing that is affordable for our communities. We have been at the forefront of making sure that reproductive health which is on the line, and I know we talk about it all the time, but for example, we have what you call a shield law that says that you can't extradite our doctors for taking care of women and their health needs. So, on every level, whether it's housing, whether it's the environment, we're always passing legislation in terms of clearing up the environment. I think in the Senate, we passed legislation around perms and making sure that people know what is in the chemicals that are in the products that they use, especially us. We use a lot of hair, we use a lot of things, and nobody's has to really tell anybody what's in those products. And a lot of times these companies don't even test on our hair to find out if it's a problem or not. So we passed legislation to deal with that. In fact, again, I was working with Senator Clear to work with people with natural hair in order to sit on a commission that we have formed through legislation. So, again, the legislation is far reaching, where we've done pre-K, universal pre-K, where people didn't have it. It was just New York City. We've expanded it throughout the state. So it is every aspect of your lives, some state legislation has happened. And certainly working with our Attorney General, we've been able to pass legislation just at the end that allows her to do broader investigations than she was able to do before we passed the legislation, working with her. And that we pulled out in the final hours, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. And that's amazing that the hair story, the hair wars, is coming to Albany. That's a powerful
And we
thing.
did the Crown Act. We stopped people from discriminating against. But yeah, let's face it, there were 1,000 pieces of legislation that we passed this year.
Wow.
And most of it is sitting on the governor's desk to be signed.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And my state senator, Cordell Clare, I heard her name come up twice. So that tells you how busy and how active she is. But she's here in spirit, and she may join us, my co-host, a little bit later. My next question for you is, please enlighten us on the bill that was signed by Governor Hochul establishing the New York State Community, is it a community commission on reparations remedies and next steps towards reparations? That's a big thing. Thank you.
It is a big thing. And again, it is a thing that we could only do because of the leadership positions that have been, given really to myself, to Speaker Hasty, so many of the senators and assembly people who actually care about the history of Black people in New York. And certainly Senator Sanders carried it for us in the Senate, and I believe Assemblywoman Salajas did it in the Assembly. And what that commission did, what that piece of legislation did, and I will tell you, again, it was unanimously voted for in my conference. I won't say in the Senate. It came down to party line, but we have, just so people understand, in my conference right now, I have 41 different senators, and they are from all over New York State. It is the most diverse Senate majority that has ever existed in New York State. And every single one of my members, in fact, many of my white members were actually like emotional because they saw the discrimination that happened in their lives over the years and never really put two and two together until the stories got told. And so, again, it sounds like, oh, we have a commission, but to get people from, Erie County to Long Island to vote for a reparations study in the Senate, which had been Republican and mostly white male for the better part of 100 years is something. But that commission, we each have commissioners. I have two on there. The speaker has two. The governor has two, and they are doing hearings all across the state,
Yes.
going to communities, asking people to talk about what it is that happened, and also to talk about what they feel some of the remedies could be. Everybody has a different idea of, what that should be, who should be included. We have a lot of things that we want to see done, but the reality is that I'm sorry, I have three members, not two. We each have three members.
Thank you.
Um, and they will have we extended. They wanted us to extend the time period, which we've done. So they will reporting at the end of in the end of next year.
Okay. Well, we have started it, and we're going to finish it, and we're going to get our reparations. That's what time it is. Okay. So I have a last question for you. For those of you that are just joining, I'm Terry Wisdom.
Watch your time, Terry.
I'm watching my time. I got it. We're going to ask this last question, and it's a pretty short question. It was announced on Juneteenth, right at the plaza, at our state office plaza, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Plaza, that in, I guess it's 2025 Juneteenth, that $30 million in funding has been allocated to Black nonprofits. Can you elaborate on the process, the rollout, the impact, when the program's going to start?
Okay. Yes, $30 million was allocated to Black nonprofits. It is part, and I will say again, this started a couple of years ago when the Asian community were targeted, and they had never been targeted before after COVID and so on. And, there was a lot of hate and so on. So, we needed to really work with so many in the community to even start understanding how to fight bigotry and bring education and bring resources. And so that's expanded now because unfortunately we are all once again living in an environment where people are being targeted because of their color, their ethnicity, and so on. So the Latino community also has a pot, and the Black community as well. And the idea again is to speak to our communities across the state, and figure out how we can. And I think when I came in, and we could probably end on that, where Tish was talking about, making sure that we are collaborative, that we are supporting each other, and that we have the resources in place in order to combat what is a very direct assault on our communities. And this money will help to do all those things. And like I said, it'll be out next year as soon as they finish their series.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's very important. And obviously economics is a big part of
absolutely
changing the paradigm. Well, we thank you for coming on. We
thank you, Terry,
for pivoting. It's an honor. And we are now going to bring on our next Powerhouse Woman leader, and that is in the person of Congresswoman Yvette Clark of Brooklyn, and she is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus that just finished for 2025, and it was an amazing conference. So if you would just say hello to us. Do we have you on, Congresswoman?
You do.
Okay. All right.
A pleasant good evening to you, Terry. Let me thank Dr. Jackie Cody and the team over at National Action Network. Let me say pleasant good evening to my colleagues all present, Power Women, Black Power Women for sure. Let me say hi to our majority leader in our state, Andrea Stewart Cousins, my sister, Attorney General Tish James, and my sister Speaker of the New York City Council, Adrienne Adams, to all of the sisters on the line, quite frankly, let me just say how wonderful and uplifting it is to be amongst Black women who are exchanging information, who are being educated and informed, and who are really the backbone of this nation. Because when we stand up as Black women, things move, things happen. Just though she sat down, you can certainly ask Rosa Parks what happens when a Black woman has their mind made up. Okay. So having said that, let me yield back to you, Terry.
Okay, well, thank you. We're moving right along. We actually pivoted a little bit because you're on the federal, and this is kind of a civics lesson for a lot of us because we don't know everything, but we want to make sure that we know. That's the mission of Harlem Network News, to make sure people are informed, engaged, and called to action. That's what we're about. So can you just enlighten us on what is going on with the government shutdown? You're in Congress, so let us know what's happening, because it's important that we tell our own stories. We're listening to mainstream media, so I don't know if we're getting the correct story, but we have you right here, and we know that you're going to tell us the correct story. Thank you.
So this shutdown is manufactured. It is a power play by Donald Trump and his allies in the United States Congress. Understand that these folks are on a mission, and I would commend to everyone on this call to Google and read Project 2025. This is a plan that was crafted by a gentleman named Mr. Volt, who has been essentially the driver of and overseer of one of the largest, let me say this, the largest transfer of wealth in the United States from the federal treasury to tax cuts for the top 1% billionaires in this country. So I'm just setting the table so you understand how we got here.
Right.
These individuals, right? These are individuals who passed legislation along partisan lines that would essentially cut Medicaid by trillions of dollars, healthcare. At the core of this, healthcare for working, poor, middle-class families in America. And that transfer of wealth, that cut, will then offset the amount of money that the wealthiest want to be able to write off on their taxes. Okay, so breaking it down. So now we're at a point where millions of Americans will lose access to health care under what we call the big ugly law. Right? It may, some of your viewers and listeners may have heard it as called by Donald Trump the big beautiful bill. What it is the big ugly law, because embedded in that are principles and actually action items for Project 2025. So that bill has been passed. We know that that means cuts to SNAP benefits. It means cuts to so many vital programs, federal, paid by the federal government, which then passes it along to our state legislature, who then passes it along to our cities and our council, our council speaker, right? If those dollars get cut, if those dollars get diverted, if those funds are again compiled into a treasury so that they can pay for tax cuts to the wealthiest, they're not available for the services we need. And that's across this nation. So fast forward, we have been operating the United States budget through a series of actions called continuing resolutions. And once a budget is passed, in Congress, it then becomes law signed by the president. They then authorize agencies to spend what was authorized by the Congress. We are the only bodies within constitutional rights to determine where funding goes. It is not an executive function. And so a couple of weeks ago, well, actually a couple of months ago, back in December, let me start there. President Biden, on his way out, passed the last sort of appropriation. And through that, through that appropriation, which was also agreed to by Donald Trump as the incoming president, because this was done in December after the election. We negotiated appropriations that would serve for the entire year. But what happened was when Donald Trump came into office, he reneged on all of that. And so we've had to address the nation's budget through continuing resolutions. And another, so after the cuts, after the reneging, they rigged the continuing resolution, narrowly apportioned it so that it would meet the needs of the Republican Party. There was no bipartisan negotiation. Anything that the Democrats put on the table was summarily dismissed by the Republicans. So it's what they call a skinny continuing resolution. In other words, it only addresses the issues that the Republican majority wants to address, and most of that are cuts.
Okay. Well, I mean,
hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you
All
full
right.
story.
I'm gonna back right up. Let's go.
You got to put it in context.
All right. Thank you.
So that March resolution expired. So there was a vote, you may recall, to extend that continuing resolution, and that extended to the deadline that we just hit, which is why we currently have no continuing resolution. We have no bill. And that bill that they're trying to pass, it would continue the march to cutting healthcare. Because what will happen is that those who are in the Affordable Care Act market, those who receive their health care insurance through the Affordable Care Act, will be hit with a huge uptick in their premiums and deductibles because we did not reauthorize within that legislation the tax credits that everyday people get to supplement the cost of their health care. So now you have a compounded healthcare crisis. It's bad enough they cut funding for research. It's bad enough that they took trillions out of Medicaid. Now they're going for the Affordable Care Act. And so what Democrats in the House said is that we cannot be complicit with this. We will not. You have the votes. This was something you dreamed up for this nation. We are not going to be complicit. We don't agree. You didn't negotiate with us. This is a partisan, Republican partisan continuing resolution. If you want to pass that, go ahead and do it. You have the votes. We're not going to participate in that. Hence the shutdown.
Okay, so here we are. And the next question was, but it's a rhetorical question because the question would be, how do these, cuts and the shutdown impact Black and Brown communities? But that's a rhetorical question. So we can get to—
Yeah, because we are the target. We are at the heart of everything this administration has done to demonize, to seek retribution with, to really crush the spirit of Black communities. I mean, this is not hyperbole. This is exactly what is going on. And if we took the time to read Project 2025, It was very explicit about who they were targeting. The first thing was the executive order on diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Then it was birth rate citizenship. So there has been a consistent pattern of attacks on Black communities across this nation that this is only par for the course. And what we have said as Democrats is, while it impacts Black people disproportionately, it will certainly impact everyone across this nation, because when you extract this amount of support from the safety net in America, it's going to not be limited to any one community, because so many people across this nation, tens of millions of people, are in the Affordable Care Health Exchange.
Okay.
And those who aren't, those who may have private insurance through their employers, right? Their premiums are going to go up, because now you're aggregating the most severely ill people into one pool, and that drives up the cost of insurance for everybody.
Okay.
So I just wanted to put it in context.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And we don't get this information, so that's why it's very important that you're here and we're hearing it from you. We're not hearing it melted down on mainstream media. That's not what's happening here. So spread the word, folks that are here, and it'll be across all social media. So just another rhetorical question. What are we doing to mitigate these impacts? And what are we looking at in the future to resolve this? I mean, we're one day in, but what's the game plan?
Yeah, well, I think that one of the game plans for what I want to suggest for our communities is that we stand up mutual aid. We have to support and undergird each other through this time. That's the bottom line to it. The states are going to do everything that they can do. The cities are going to do everything that they can do. Some cities and states are more, fortunate and able to absorb some of the shock, but they're going to be cities and states, rural communities across this nation where our people will be suffering. That's where our Black infrastructure has to kick in. Members of fraternities, members of sororities, NAACP, Urban League, whomever we have, wherever we have them, we have to stand up a robust mutual aid infrastructure to help navigate our people through this, because it's devastating.
Wow. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to ask one quick question, because you're in the federal scene, so it's really important what you're sharing with us. Please just weigh in quickly on the takeover of Washington, D.C. By President's misuse of the National Guard, and now moving into some of the other cities. And combined question, how is the CBC addressing this matter and the position? So
we have joined with the resistance in every community across this nation. At the end of the day, no one signed up for the militarization of our communities anywhere. And this is such a gross misuse and abuse of power that Donald Trump has engaged in. We have to stand up. We have to protest. We have to make our voices known. And we have to build momentum going into these next elections, not just one, but every election. We've got to show up. We've got to show out. We got to bring our children, our elders. We have to do everything within our power to limit this man's ability to do these cruel things. And the only way we do that is we stop it at the House of Representatives, and then we move from there. If we can stop it at the Senate level, that would be great, but we got to build that muscle among our people. And that muscle is called the franchise. And we have not maximized on our strength and our muscle at all, at all. We got to do what we can do. New York is very, very unique. Well, not really unique, but blue states, because we have created more space for our voters to be registered, to be engaged in voting. But I think about sisters and brothers in the South, where they're being subjected to voter ID laws. They're being purged off the voter rolls. I mean, it's a major, endeavor to make sure that people are enrolled, people have everything they need just to cast their ballot, and that's the whole idea. That our adversaries have, is that if they can make it more difficult for Black people to vote, then they can maintain their white supremacist infrastructure and posture in the United States of America. We have to make them liars, and we have to go out and do the work that we need to do to make sure that we show up in massive numbers. If just 10% more of the people of our communities who are eligible to vote were registered to vote and went out and voted, we would change the whole trajectory of what is going on right now.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm Terry Wisdom, Harlem Network News, and we have with us our Congresswoman Yvette D. Clark, who is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. So we applaud you. And New York, we have it all there, but it's been done in another way, so people are not voting. And we have low voter turnout in New York. So it's got to happen.
Absolutely.
25th, I believe, is the last day, and it's the first day of early voting in October. So we need you to show up, and we need you to show out. And that's what we have to do.
Well, we have to exercise our muscle. Right now, we got a lot of flab. We need to strengthen ourselves. We need to undergird ourselves because this is the real deal, folks. This is really, really no joke. What we're up against is can be generational in terms of what the impact will be if these folks continue down this road that they're on. I don't know about you, but we're only in the 10th month of the year, but it feels like it's been 10 years. Imagine 3 more years of this.
Yeah, it's a lot. I
hope the Congresswoman can hang out for a moment. Okay. Our speaker does have a hard stop at 8:30, but I'm pretty sure she'll stay on for a few minutes. Okay. But yeah, our speaker has to go.
Okay, very well. Is our State Assembly leader Crystal People-Stokes here?
No, but our speaker is here.
Let's move forward. Okay, very much. We have our speaker of our City Council in the person of our wonderful Adrienne Adams. So please come on. Let's bring her on.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Okay. All right. Good to see you again. And we do want to just congratulate you. The last time that we were together, that was during the time of the mayoral race, and we salute you, we shout you out, you stood up, and you ran a wonderful race. And we're in a flux right now. I think you were trying to work on that, but here we are, and we've just got to stand up. So, excuse me. We would like you to just share some of the things that are happening in the City Council that are impacting Black and Brown people and the disenfranchised. Things like affordable housing. We touched on that a little bit earlier. And AMI, the area medium income of the community, that is really, is it really what it is, and what can we do to change that? Obviously, we're having gun violence every day, small business, capital needed, separate but not equal education, and that's kind of like a spin out. But if you could just address one of those, two of those, what are the major things that you're dealing with in the city council right now?
Wow, everything is a priority as it was from day one when I jumped into this role in 2022. I just want to salute my sisters that are on here that have been the backbone of my personal infrastructure in helping to create this first Black Speaker of the New York City Council, Tish James, Andrea Stewart Cousins, my sister Yvette Clark, Chrissy Peoples, all of you whose shoulders I stand on and who I can pick up the phone and do at any given time, day or night, day of the week, whatever time it is, I know that I can pick up the phone and have. And you all are always there for me, pushing me along, making me and building, continuing to build on this amazing Black women leadership and this sisterhood that we hold so dearly. I thank you and I love you. Dr. Jackie, I've got to salute you. Dawn, Sister Dawn, all of my NAN family. As a life member of NAN, you all already know what we are and what we do under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. So I had to get that in there also.
Okay.
So thank you all for being on this call. I was supposed to pop out about 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to try to get all of this in. One of the things that I'm noticing tonight, and I may just veer off a little bit, Terry, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
one of the
absolutely.
things that I'm noticing in the conversation with my sister leaders is the intersectionality of the work that we do in our various roles, in our roles in state government, in our roles in the federal realm, in our roles with our phenomenal AG. We are all so connected right now, particularly because of this rogue administration in Washington, D.C. We've seen something that we haven't seen for a very long time. I'm so glad that our Congresswoman Yvette Clark called it out. I've been saying on every radio show, every podcast, every television show, call it out for what it is. It's Project 2025. Let's not be afraid to call a thing, as Sister Ian Van Zandt has taught us to do. Call that thing a thing. It's that three-headed monster with all those tentacles doing exactly what they said that they were going to do via that blueprint. And because they have their host in Donald John Trump, they have that host carrying this thing now, willing to decimate the power, the authority, and the righteousness of Black and brown people in this nation. Our work is intersectional, it's interconnected, it's intertwined because we are all being impacted and we are all put in the position now of protecting and pulling together our people as we never had to before. I was thinking earlier today, I don't know what Sister Shirley Chisholm went through during her time in leadership. I know that I use her words and I know that I live by her philosophy. I am indeed unbought and unbossed. I have lived by that philosophy. I don't know the struggle and the physical hurt, but I saw the tears of Sister Fannie Lou Hamer. I lived through her tears. I bathe in them on a daily basis. And now, my sisters and brothers, we are now looking at the possibility of doing that very same work that our ancestors in the 50s and 60s came through, putting our bodies on the line. Lord, are we ready to die for this thing? I'm ready to die for this thing. We've got to get on those front lines again and get serious about this thing because we are looking at an administration that has no problem with saying white nationalism out front, saying the quiet part out loud now. There is no restriction, limitation. There is no embarrassment. They are proud of who they are. We have got to step up as a people in force and be proud of who we are. All right. We have got to be proud that we are proud of DEI. People have called us out like this is some kind of profanity. It is not profanity. What is profane is the treatment of our people and the fact that we are losing those things from affirmative action. I know I'm not talking about the city council. I'm so sorry. But when
it's cross-pollination,
I talk about, I just start opening my mouth and I just say, Lord, just open my mouth. This is way bigger than all of us. but we've got to get serious about it. Black women, we are the voices that the world is afraid of, but the world needs to survive. We are the ones that give birth to nations. We are the ones that white men are most feared, that white men most fear and white men most love. Talk about that part.
Mhm.
So, in
Dichotomy.
being both the right hand and the left hand, we are this thing together that create this nation, that still give birth to nations across continents. Stand up in your righteous truth and your strength. This is something that the world looks for the Black women, and don't run from it, because I've seen my sisters run from it. They say it takes a Black woman to clean things up. We are still that cleanup women. Don't run for it. Be proud of it. Stand in the pride, because the world knows that this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is what we accomplished. This is what we do across the globe as Black women, as women that continue to save this nation. Let's put our heads together again and save this nation, because I tell you what, it's going to take Black women to save this nation from this horrible authoritarian regime who is not afraid to tell you all and come out from under those hoods and tell you who they are proudly. We have to be just as proud to tell them and show our Black and brown and red and yellow faces to the world and who we are, and standing up in our truth. We have to bring it. We have to bring it. I'm not scared. I know you all aren't either. So let me tell you what the City Council has done under this leadership of this first Black speaker. We have taken what we saw Roe v. Wade try to take away from us, and that is reproductive rights, abortion care, and funding for those women, not just in New York, but across the nation, that don't have the money to take care of their own bodies and to say, this is my body, not yours. New York is that place for women across the country because of your city council. We have provided funding in CUNY Reconnect, which I call my baby, and bringing education to those people, primarily Black women and women of color who have had some credits in CUNY, but had to leave school because they had to take care of a parent, had to take care of a child, had to leave because they couldn't afford it. We've brought them back in, and I thought that I would get maybe 7,000, 10,000 re-enrollments of students from CUNY. I'm upwards of 50,000 as we live and breathe right now. That's my
Wow.
baby, CUNY Reconnect.
Clap
We
it up.
have instituted and implemented under this Black speaker guaranteed basic income for Black women that have children that have been in domestic violence situations, that have been homeless. I've brought them out under a 3-year stipend and brought them out of domestic violence and homelessness and given them something to build on as far as their finances. Had I been elected mayor, had I still been in this race, but New York's not ready for pretty things yet, y'all. Had I been in that seat and ready to do this, this would have been one of the foundations of New York City to get us out of homelessness, to pull us out of these things. We have the budget to do this. I've negotiated a budget of $116 billion now, fourth last budget done over with. Had to fight a mayor that wanted to tear things up, break our backs, and take our money from our children, our seniors, our food. I've had to fight our libraries, our cultural institutions. I've had to fight for New Yorkers to make sure that that was not going to be the case, but that we kept it, we grew it, and we baselined it. And so when we take a look at Black leadership, I'm looking at my sisters and the shoulders that I stand on and those that I learned from, Andrea, Yvette, Tish, who I learned from, that told me not to be afraid, but to get out there and just do it. I've had to just reach in as that woman of faith and stretch out and walk by faith and not by sight and just say, God, here I am, send me. I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, but because I believe in you and trust in you, I trust that I'm okay. And no matter what realm I'm in, because I'm being obedient, I'm already victorious. So sisters, let's get out here. We have the victory through the work that we do, through the one that we believe in. We are still that strong sisterhood. but we have to stand up. We've got to collaborate now more than ever before. City council, state leaders, federal leaders, we have each other's backs. We already know that. But we've got to collaborate and pull even more sisters in. Those sisters that weren't even ready yet for a Black woman mayor. Some sisters weren't ready for that. That's okay, because the time wasn't right. But the time is always right for Black women leadership. We're going to stand together. We're going to lock arm in arm. I'm termed out December 31st, 2025, but I'm so turned in to continue this work and this fight with my sisters and everybody on this call. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you for taking the extra time, and thank you for kind of pivoting to our next open discussion, and that's the big elephant in the room, and you brought it in ahead, and that's the New York City mayoral race. And, you know, I congratulated you on your run and pushing forward. And now with our Mayor Adams abruptly dropping out of the race, but still technically on the ballot. You know, we have now Curtis Sliwa. We have, on the Republican side, we've got Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, and we have got the Democratic independent candidate in the person of Andrew Cuomo. So many New Yorkers, and I'm out here in these streets, are very concerned about the future of New York with the remaining choices on the ballot. And Black and brown New Yorkers who traditionally are suffering disparities, are extremely concerned, because they're really concerned, where will they fit in this next administration?
Yeah.
So if you want to just reflect on that, and people are confused, they're not sure what to do, which way to go. And it's like confusion on the federal side, confusion on the city side. So some insight, some direction.
Yeah, there's a lot to be concerned about right now. We have decisions to make, and we've got some choices to make. We've got to decide whether or not we want to look backwards or whether or not we want to move forward when it comes to New York and leadership in New York City. People are telling us a whole lot of things. We've seen folks try to reinvent themselves and try to make us believe that no, we didn't really live the life that we lived in the past with you. And now, you know, you're trying to come back again and give us some more of the same. It's almost like, you know, again, somebody in a DV situation that's already been beat up and somebody saying, come back to me, baby, come back to me, baby, I'll never do it again. So, so here we are, looking at, the choices that we have left. We have some decisions to make as far as our choices are concerned. For me personally, I'm willing to take a look at the new thing. I'm open to taking a look at the new thing. I think that something that is new can be worked with and is not rigid, is pliable, is amenable to other voices, is willing to hear other voices, and is ready to accept the expertise of leadership that is needed to fortify themselves. So without naming names, I'll let Tish name names, but without naming names.
Okay.
Zohran.
There you go. There you go. I believe that we need new leadership. And I also believe that we have to make our voices heard as far as the needs of our community.
Absolutely.
And my clarion call to the assembly member and in his run, because I ran with him, I ran on the slate with him. And that has been what I have been saying since day one. And to be perfectly honest, I've always said, I will not deliver my community to you. You're going to have to earn it. I will not get out there, and we had a lot of controversy over cross endorsements and why won't she do this? And I got a lot of beat up over that. No, I'm not going to do that. You got to earn that thing. My people are worth it. We've fought too hard for what we have and what we've gotten. For me to say, here you go, for me to present you on a silver platter like this, you have to earn the respect of my community. So I'm happy to report to you, I have watched him earn the respect of our community. He's got a way to go, but he is doing that. He is earning it. He is in the process of earning the respect of our community. I will vouch for that. And I will support that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Would any of the other power women like to weigh in on the mayoral race? Just some thoughts, some direction. Anybody?
So this is Tish James. As everyone knows, I'm endorsing and supporting Zoran Mandani. Why? Because the issue of affordability is something that I focused on all of my career. And as the speaker indicated, I refuse to go back. I know who we're dealing with an individual who seeks to basically reinvent himself. And I want to move forward because I have not seen this type of energy on the ground since Barack Obama. I've not seen individuals volunteer. There are literally 74,000 volunteers canvassing the streets of New York City in support of this gentleman who went on a hunger strike when he was an assembly member. And that's when I first met him, in support of taxi drivers who entered into loans that were high interest loans. And some of these taxi drivers unfortunately committed suicide and could not pay back these debts. Zoran went on a hunger strike for them. For me, that's passion. That's commitment. And so we've got to focus on the issues that the speaker and so many others have focused on, and that is the crisis in affordable housing, AMI, as you mentioned, and truly affordable housing and home ownership opportunities, dealing with universal childcare, making that more affordable. And last but not least, making sure that we have access, transportation accessibility is a major issue. But more than that, it's just making sure that people of color, and particularly African Americans, are brought to the table. And as someone who is supporting and endorsing Zoran, he has brought me to the table, Patrick Gaspar to the table, and countless number of other veterans, old school individuals to the table who are advancing the interest of people of color, progressives, and all individuals. As I indicated before, it's not about making sure that we have equal outcomes. It's about providing us with opportunities and advancing the interests of people who have historically been left out and have not been at the table of power. I'm with Zoran Mandani, and I hope that all of you will be. I'm not going back. I cannot support Andrew Cuomo. Been there, done that, did a report on it. He's not the one. Let's go with something new. Let's go with a change.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Thank you for speaking your truth to power. Would any of our other women of power like to weigh in? Otherwise, we're going to move to our final question to weigh in on.
So Terry, I would not want to miss this opportunity because I had a very public endorsement of Zoran Mandani as well. The assemblyman had an opportunity to meet with him on 3 separate occasions. One with a group of clergy from Central Brooklyn and 2 others, just one-on-one. And what I want to remind people is that Zoran was elected resoundingly in the primary. And the independent Democrat that is in the race with him, who entered the race against him, lost by close to 14 points. the number of young people who came out to vote for Zoran has not happened in New York City in generations, probably since Barack Obama. The enthusiasm around, again, I think Tish put a finger on the pulse of it, affordability. Our communities are struggling. We're at a point where people in our communities can't afford to leave New York, but they can't afford to stay in New York.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so I think that we have a unique opportunity to turn the page, to usher in a new era, if you will. We're already in a very toxic environment to the extent that we can create some level of unity in New York City. And I think that understanding that he is the Democratic nominee, people went out and voted for him to be the Democratic nominee. That from just a pragmatic standpoint, we can't be all over the place fractured as Democrats for no good reason, because there are interests in this town that decided that they want to determine who leadership will be that don't vote in our elections.
Mm.
I think that, the fear tactics that are being used, are really harmful to our people. I think that we need a spirit of courage in this moment. We can't be fearful about what other people are imposing on this young man, because these are other people's fears. He has demonstrated a great sense of humility that I don't see in any of his opponents. A great sense of humility. And when you are young, you're humble, and you have your ears open, and there's no doubt that he's politically ambitious. That means he wants to do the very best job that he can do, because he wants to be a good mayor. And so we all have an opportunity, and that's that. I want to close with this, Terry. One of the things that we do is that we elect people and then we just let them go. The bottom line to it is a symbiotic relationship. These people, we, including myself, are only elected because people voted for me. Therefore, the work that I do has to be the work of the people.
Okay.
Right? And so if whether the people want to hold folk accountable or not, they're diminishing the value of their votes and that muscle that I'm talking about that you have to build up in a democracy. So I want to encourage everyone that this is that moment where we have to be courageous, where we have to look at the circumstances we find ourselves in. And I've yet to hear from the other candidates a vision of hope. This young man has at least brought that to the fore. So I'm going to yield back, Terry.
Okay, thank you. We need hope. That's for sure. We need information. We need people to be accountable. Hold feet to the fire is very, very, very critical for us not to feel like we don't matter. We've got to stand.
Absolutely.
So, and actually the segue is for the very last question for people to weigh in on is Gaza and Israel. And from what I hear, because Harlem Network News, we're out here in these streets, and truly the Black and Brown community is extremely appalled by what is happening in Gaza and in Israel. And the United Nations is appalled. The world is appalled. And it's inhumanity, mass murder, lack of aid, and a glaring financial draft of our tax dollars particularly for, as you said, the people are struggling here. They're bleeding here. The AMI, that law has to change because it doesn't represent what people's real income is. You know, so there's an issue in terms of this situation. And it also has to do with our leaders who we elected addressing the matter of and the sentiments of how the people actually feel about it. And a lot of our representatives are not representing how people really feel. And it's like a bad word or a bad thing to say you don't like the fact that all these people are being killed, massacred. And we are people who have been killed and massacred. So that's why we have an affinity in terms of what's happening. So if you would just weigh in on that and how.
Absolutely. And, you know, not only are the people appalled, this is an appalling circumstance in the Middle East. Appalling. And so I have heard from my constituents, and certainly as a Christian, have weighed this issue has weighed very heavily on me. When we talk about a city like ours with its diversity, you know, I think that oftentimes we are not as open as we ought to hearing the thoughts from a variety of communities across this city. And what my team has done in terms of my office is that we have made sure that we have addressed not only what has happened on October 7th, but everything that has happened since then. And I think that, you know, as the opportunities avail themselves in Washington, particularly around votes, there will be a sea change in the Democratic Party, including myself. You know, I have voted for support to Israel in the past. There's no doubt about that. But I've also made it very clear that the lack of a ceasefire, the way that Israel has conducted this war, which has had more civilian casualties than it has of anything else, the starvation of the people, of the Palestinian people, the total destruction of Gaza as they've known it. The only way to address this issue is to make sure that through my vote, they know the people of the 9th District of New York, represented by Congresswoman Yvette Clark, does not support any of what is taking place, and certainly will not vote for any of the continued allocation or appropriation of funds for continued military action in Gaza. That they've crossed that Rubicon with, I would say, just about everybody in the Democratic House of Representatives. I'm not sure about the Senate necessarily, but I'm beginning to hear more and more from senators.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that from the inside. And we're hearing some truth to power, and we're hearing from real voices. So that's a very good thing. Tish James, did you want to weigh in on that? And then we're going to move to our sister Dawn Jones, who's going to close us out.
As most of you know, I authored a letter that was signed by a significant number of elected officials in New York City and across New York State, expressing their concerns with respect to the starvation of children and individuals in Gaza. And I stand with Congresswoman Yvette Clark and all that she has done. It is truly appalling. And as a woman of faith, it's really critically important that we speak truth to power. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Terry.
hope.
Two announcements before we move to Dawn. We are so grateful for these powerhouses for sure. But I do have to say it very loudly. Thank you to my Congresswoman for making sure reparations was a main topic at this year's 2025 Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference. I'm overjoyed. I was in the room with our representative, Ayanna Presley, and it's because of our chair, this year's chair, that reparations was a central topic, and I thank you for that. I would like for everyone here to join us again on October 22nd. I am going to pull up this announcement really quick. We have some local powerhouses that has information to share on bills that we're trying to get passed in the state. We would like them to be introduced federally and at the city level, all levels. The citywide leadership team, that's myself, co-developers Lorraine Gittins Bridges on the call now, Monique Lindsay, Stop the Shock, Andre's Law, money, dollars, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars is being sent out of state to Judge Rotenberg Center for our children to be electric shock and abused when we can keep that money in our children here and serve them here. We have Joyce McMillan regarding Miranda's rights. ACS has been going into houses and snatching up our children and just taking them. If they find aspirin in your blood, and I'm not exaggerating, any type of medicine in your blood, they say, well, you're on drugs and we're taking your children. And Josiah's Law, where we will make sure that our students have their parents and attorneys before anyone can go digging through their bags and taking them down to the precinct. So I hope you join us on Wednesday, October 22nd, as we talk about this very, very critical information that these powerful sisters have to share on that date. This flyer will go out to everyone as well. So,
and Dr. Cody, don't forget October 18th, which is the second iteration of marching against No King's Day. Everyone has to hit the street. I want millions of people on the streets all across this nation.
No King's Day. What time does that start?
The protests are all over this nation, and there's protests all in New York State, New York City. Go to indivisible.com. No King's Day all across this nation. Millions of Americans taken to the streets.
Thank you so much.
We're not going to have a king here.
Thank you. And that is a great segue to our sister Dawn. Thank you, Terry, very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And we appreciate this opportunity. Black Media Matters. Subscribe to Harlem Network News. You can call us, Google us. We're all over social media. We have to tell our own stories. And today is an example of this. So thank you. Dawn Jones.
Yes, greetings to everyone who stayed on the line. Happy Tuesday, and thank you, Terry and Dr. Jackie Cody, for having me on this evening. As far as a call to action is concerned, I didn't realize that my background on my cell phone is my voter registration information table until I logged on this morning. I'm having some issues with my desktop here at home, but what I would say is we've been doing voter registration and information in the community, and for the month of October, on Monday is the Triumph Awards at Lincoln Center, but after Monday, on Saturday, we plan to go to the Greater Harlem Nursing Home, where one of our faithful members, Catherine Nixon, is 105, and we plan to visit a program that's the National Action Network Women's Auxiliary, and I will bring absentee ballots there. Then there's street naming for the late William Bills, 110th and 5th Avenue, and then Mex Boulevard.
Okay,
an information table there. Last month in September for Constitution Day and also Registration Day, that week we registered over 25 voters. And then what we do, we follow with telephone banking for the people that we've registered. So for this month of October, we plan to be out in the streets. And then we're also going to do a forum, and I would like to have some of the ladies that's been on from our speaker, of the New York City Council, State Senate. We're going to do a forum on the big ugly bill. So we're certainly looking for speakers. We would be Avenue Baptist Church here located at 420 West Street in the village of Harlem. So basically, my call to action would be to taking it to the streets. And any other, we are National Action Network. We had our march on Wall Street on August 28th this year. And basically, I'm what speaker spoke about. I am what you call a civil servant. I'm going up the civil servant, and so I work in the office, but when it comes to the weekends, I like to be out in the street because I'm basically inside doing one-shot deal cases and then go out for lunch 1 hour, but that's why I like to be out in the street. I believe this table may have been when I was at the African American Day Parade last week. We had the even if we don't register voters, a lot of people just want to check their status to make sure they're still in the system. So thank you again, Terry, Dr. Cody, for having me on. And I just pray that everyone is safe and sound under this administration, because it's just getting, every time I turn on the news, it's either someone who's been killed or government shut down, and we just don't know what's going to happen next. And as a city employee, where our health is what's been affected.
Okay.
Well, God bless.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dawn Jones.
Yes.
and
Congresswoman Clark wants to say something.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to ask that, Sister Dawn, as you educate the public about the big ugly law,
Yes.
would you also consider maybe breaking down Project 2025 by chapter and beginning to share that information as well? Because I think that, if people are more conscious of the fact that what they are experiencing was actually documented, it adds another level of indignant. We need to be indignant in this time, because a lot of this could have been avoided because they already told us what they were going to do, and we had a beautiful, wonderful, extraordinary candidate in Kamala Harris, but
yes,
we are where we are. And so I think that I really want to encourage people. It's not heavy reading. They say explicitly what they're going to do with each agency. And I think it's worth it for our people to know what they have designed. And that goes to, a lot of the issues that Dr. Cody is trying to address. Is one of the things that we need to be very conscious of is that Black people also serve as a commodity in the minds of these people. And they look at, our birth rates. They look at our social media. They know when our children will enter third grade and how the dismantling of our educational system will impact on children, and in particular Black boys. And they have also built private prisons, and they're pumping billions of dollars into private prisons. And so they have a design. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're executing on it. We have to serve as disruptors. But if we don't know what they've designed, then it's very hard to disrupt it because we're reacting.
Right.
If we are more in tune with what's going on, we can be far more effective in disrupting it.
No, thank you, Congresswoman. That the Common Avenue Baptist, Reverend Dr. Jesse Williams, we actually had functions on Project 5. My ministry, social justice ministry, we did farm Project 2025 and the big ugly bill. So that is something that we definitely are doing. I do it based on the workers, how it affects us as workers as far as Project 2020 is concerned. So we definitely address that at Convent Avenue Baptist Church as well as the National Action Network. And I think we may, since you just said what you said, we would invite you to come maybe at the end of November to our panel at the end of the month at the House of Justice, and I think we will do the Project 2025 along with the Big Ugly Bill. Yes, thank you so much. And also remember, each and every Thursday, the National Action Network does the protests.
Okay.
Very well, my sister. I just want to be
Out
sure
for
that our people are in tune, because it's critical. The impact of Project
absolutely.
2025. They have intentionally done what they've done, and what they've done to Black women and purging them from the workforce. This is all by design. We need to be very clear on that.
And I want to follow up with your offices behind the scenes to find out, how can we come together like this on a regular basis, even if it's just once a month, to get firsthand information that's not diluted or disfigured by all kinds of, the noise. I would love for us to be able to have access to this conversations like this on a regular basis, so that we can properly inform our communities and keep us educated. So I will be in touch with each one of your offices behind the scenes to see how we can do this. Terry, get ready.
Okay. All right. So this was the first time. So
Yeah,
it was
let
a
me
little
just say,
longer.
what works for my office is if you have a prearranged calendar, because then if you're waiting for us to
Plug
give you a
right in.
time and a date, then you might be waiting for a while. But
Okay,
if you let us know what you have scheduled, we can get
right.
in where we can fit it.
You
Okay.
heard that, Terry?
I
And
heard
can I also,
you heard it right here on Harlem Network News. And I just want to say that Dr. Jackie Cody is amazing. A mover, a shaker, bringing it all together. And we had 4 out of 5 of our Powerhouse women. And, I salute my state senator. She couldn't make it, but she's out there in those streets. So it's very important. And the other thing that we definitely have to address is the gun violence that's happening in our community.
Yeah.
It's
so can I
everywhere.
just say this? Senator Clear is reflective in all of our hearts, and so she is here in spirit.
Absolutely.
And so going forward, we need to make sure, because our schedules are absolutely crazy, that we, do one at a time, that we open it up, that we allow individuals to talk about their agenda. So it's really critically important that we all talk about our agenda from our different perspectives. And that is what is critically important. And then take questions from the audience and do it one-on-one, as opposed to all of us, because all of us have a lot to say and there's a lot going on. I can talk to you all about the 40 cases that I'm dealing with. I can talk to you about the cuts. I can talk to you about just what he did yesterday, the fact that he wants to cut the extension of the 2nd Avenue subway, the cuts to the Gateway Tunnel, the cuts to MTA, but we were successful in weaning that, and then tie it to the United States Supreme Court. But it's important, again, that we do this in a structured fashion and that we do it in an hour.
Got it.
Yes. And that is excellent advice. Thank you so much, Attorney General. But you know what? Just for this kickoff, this was historic.
It was.
It was historic because nowhere else in the country do you have both the majority leader for Senate and Assembly, Black women. And as I say, and I say it all the time, we got the baddest AG on this side of heaven, our Congressional Black Caucus chair, New York. So this, our speaker, Black woman. So this was historic, but going forward, that is excellent advice.
And don't forget, I'm the only Black woman in the Congressional delegation. So, it's heavy, because we gotta manage a whole lot for Black women.
That's right.
Wow.
And now we gotta join hands, because as we approach next year, we need to join hands with particularly blue states. And we've got to make sure that we elect the next speaker, Hakeem Jeffries. And we can't just do it in New York. We got to join hands with Black women in California. We got to join hands with sisters in Chicago, in Illinois, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, in Nevada. We got to make sure that we elect in 5 weeks, 2 bellwether states, New Jersey and Virginia. We got to elect 2 women governors and another Black attorney general in Virginia, whose name is Jay Jones. I need a pickup in 4 weeks. If you have people in Virginia, tell them to go out and vote. And if you have people in New Jersey, tell them to go out and vote. Because we, again, in 4.5 weeks, if in fact we turn out, we show up and we show out, then we will put Donald Trump in check next year. Let him know we're not messing around. Show him in 4 weeks, 4 weeks, that we're sick and tired of this chaos, this hatred, and this corruption. We can do it in 4.5 weeks. Virginia, New Jersey. Virginia, New Jersey. Now.
Okay, we can do it, and we do have women from all over the country. I see California, I see Georgia, I see my sister Catherine Fleming Bruce, who is in South Carolina, and she's going to try to take that Senate in South Carolina in 2020.
She will take that Senate.
Let's claim it. Let's claim it. So
thank
you very much. And I'll let you close us out, Dr. Jackie. Please subscribe to Harlem Network News. Support us. Black Media Matters. Very much so at such a time as this. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I would love for our New York State Attorney General to come back and close us out, please, if she will. You're on me. Okay.
For such a time as this, all of us need to come together and to remember our strength and to recognize all of the ancestors who died for all of us, whose blood was shed. It's really critically important that we all understand that at this point in time, we cannot be fearful, but we need to be fearless. We've got to put some spine in our backbone and not be afraid. We have been here before and we survived, and we will survive once again. But we've got to recognize what flows through our veins, which is part of our DNA, part of our blood. It is those who rose up against all of those who sought to suppress us, who sought to kill us, who sought to put an end to all that we believe in. And here we still stand. And so, ladies, we represented 92% of individuals who voted for Kamala Harris. They're afraid of us, but they cannot stamp out all of those who believe in democracy, the rule of law, and a representative government. We've got to spread the word. We've got to extend hands. We've got to let individuals know what is at stake. We've got to join with those right now who are being taken off the street in the middle of the night. Those who are being kidnapped, those who are being taken from their families, those who are detained right now, who have done nothing wrong. Remember those individuals. Stand up for those families. Stand up for their children who have lost their parents. Stand up for all of those individuals right now who care and who are crying and afraid of leaving their homes, afraid of going to church, afraid of going to school, afraid of going to their temples. Stand up for them, Black women. They're afraid of us. That's why they're coming for me. But you can come for me. I'm not afraid of you, because I know who I belong to and where I belong and who I represent. And so I'm going to do my job each and every day and sue him, and sue him. And I want all of you to know that we have won 90% of our cases until it gets to the United States Supreme Court. And we're trying to avoid that court because they're crooked as all hell.
All right.
But I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I'm going to continue to do it. As long as we stay together, as long as we stand together, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, there's no stopping us. Not now, not ever. Believe in that, believe in that, and make sure that we go out and protest and raise our voices and not be afraid. Faith and fear cannot share the same space, and I believe in my God, and he empowers me and strengthens me. So let's show them what we got. 92% for Kamala Harris. Let's show out and show up. We got this.
Thank you.
Yes.
So,
Hey, delicious. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our powerhouses. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will be in touch with everyone again soon. Thank you.
Bye,
blessings.
everybody.
Stand firm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Ashe and amen.
Amen.
Amen.